My full name?
Yep.
Thomas Eugene Bigley.
And how old are you, Thomas?
How old am I?
Yes.
88 years old. Yeah, I was in the Army Air Corps, yeah.
Air Corps. Did you ever go to war?
No, I was supposed to go to New York and fly to, I was trained in New Mexico for bombing.
Okay.
And we drop fake bombs into a target on the ground, and it'd send up a smoke signal. And they'd take a picture of that, and that would tell how close you were to your target. And so they were going to send them to New York and fly to England and then take on Germany with the airplanes. But the last minute they said, "You're not going." And I said, "Well, what did I do wrong?" Well, they said, "You're so good at the math with the targets, we're going to keep you here as an instructor." So that's probably what saved my life. I could have been killed over there.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, we were flying in a bomber plane that was a B-17. I was a bombardier, so I sat right up in the front window, way out in the front, head of the engines. And so we headed for Mount Rushmore, and there was the faces up there. There's 4 faces dug out of the rock. But anyway, we flew over, and then we just pulled up and cleared the faces. I'd say probably 50 feet. I flew piggyback, and piggyback means that you lay across the shoulders of the pilot.
Okay.
And we went under the San Francisco Bridge. And the pilot had checked that all out to be sure there was no wires or anything down there. And then we went underneath the bridge, and there I am laying across the shoulders of the pilot. I'll do some screwy things, you know. If somebody would have turned us in, we might have been busted, you know, and that take our rank away from us.
But nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Clean as a whistle.
Clean as a whistle.
So you dove out of a plane?
Yeah.
How many times?
Just once.
Was it scary?
Oh, God. Bail out of the plane. There was a trap door. See, the bombardier sat right up in the front nose. And just back a few feet from him was a lever, and you could pull that and the door would fly off. And you had to dive at the propellers so that you'd drop down and clear what they called a lower bowl turret, which is hanging down for a gunner in the middle of the plane about halfway back. But you had to dive at the propellers in order to be sure you cleared that lower bowl turret.
Yeah.
And I had to bail out. When I landed, you've got a little lever here, and you got the parachute hanging on your shoulders, and all you have to do is pull that, and the thing will spring open, and the chute will grab air and pull it out, and you'll float down towards the ground. Well, when I landed, I had that little thing that all I had to do is go like this. I had pulled that whole thing out and was holding it in my right hand, the cable. I was sure that I was going to get that chute open.
Were you married?
February 20th, 1950.
Who were you married to?
My wife, Shirley Ann. Chap didn't sound good to me. And then I switched her name to Bigley.
Where did you guys get married?
St. Paul, Minnesota. I met her, I was in St. Paul working on the railroad as a telegraph operator. And that's that dits and dots and Morse code stuff, you know.
Could you give us a sample?
Huh?
Give us a sample.
Well, dots and dashes and lots of flashes from border to coast to coast. And anyway, I was pretty good at that. And what Oh, I was staying at this boarding house, which was about a block from where I worked on the railroad, from that building I worked in. And so her mother, Shirley's mother, was up there. The woman that ran that house was Shirley's aunt, the mother's sister. And she goes down to Chicago and she said, I met one of the finest Irish boys you ever seen in your life. Get the hell up to St. Paul and meet him. So the next thing you know, Shirley comes up to St. Paul, and she had a job as a nurse's aide in the hospital. And the first time we went out, I was broke. I borrowed $10 off her.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Where did you go for your first date?
Where did we go?
Mm-hmm.
I think we went to some place to eat.
Okay. Did you ever take her dancing?
Well, yeah, I think we used to go dancing. Well, jitterbugging, you ever hear of that?
Only what you've told me about
Yeah.
it. What is it?
Well, it's where you dance and you flip them out and bring them back and jitterbugging around and moving your feet all the time.
Pretty fancy.
We could do that pretty good.
You were a good team, you and her.
Yeah, there's 9 kids.
And what are their names?
Well, we started out with Tim. Tim was adopted because they told us we couldn't have children. And then the next year, Kathy was born. And then Pat, Terry, Mike, Dan, Dennis, Bridget, and Jimmy.
Wow. That is quite the collection right there.
Yeah. And I used to work in Milwaukee dispatching trains, and so I told the kids that I stop at the zoo and wrestle the gorilla on the way home. So they went to school and they told the teacher, that I stopped and wrestled that gorilla because they believed me. And so one day the phone rang and she said, the teacher, this is so-and-so, what her name was. And she said, I understand Tom stops on the way home and wrestles that gorilla in the zoo. And Shirley says, is that what they told you? And she said yes, and she said, well, I guess he told him that, and he never did tell him the difference. So they believed me, the kids.
That is really funny. That's super funny. Was it kind of wild having all those kids in one house?
Well, not too bad. They were all pretty good. Naturally, one night I went down in the basement and the window was open. 2 of them climbed out and went into to a McDonald's. And I locked the window and waited, and pretty soon I heard them outside. Window's locked. So I go out through the garage and I said, you guys got a problem? I don't like you doing stuff like that, that's not good. How would I know where you were at? And so that was one of the tricks they pulled on me.
What is the most important thing that you've ever learned?
That I've ever learned? Well, I think to respect people.
Okay.
I think that was very important. And they didn't have all the knowledge they have now about all the tricks and trades, and you just kind of learn that yourself. You have your mother. My dad died when I was quite young, and my mother, I think, just had a way of teaching us. But she wasn't one that sat down and laid it all out. She just told you. God is love, and he who abides in God abides in love. He who abides in love abides in God in him. So there's this love. There's got to be a love. So you don't just look at somebody. You don't fall in love with them. You just accept them. And and that's a form of love. And I love you.